I just love your tortoise house, David.
Yeah, the tortoise barn is out here. If nobody's seen it before, um,
Wow.
a little bit of a mess, but they have their food trays. The black box is a bale of orchard grass hay, and that's what they all eat. And their ramp, and they should all be in because I don't see any of them out.
Wow, that's impressive.
Was that a tough shed or did you build it?
We looked at tough sheds, but we ended up going with just building it because by the time I bought it and adapted it for what we wanted, it was cheaper to just buy the siding and the 2x4s and build it ourselves.
Yeah.
Plus, the whole attic of the barn is our camping stuff, so it's like an earthquake. Technically, with all the tents and the camping gear, the whole family could live out of the barn if we.
Wonderful.
Okay, so trying to get the best angle here. So inside is the truck bed liner that they sleep on. So you've got the male who's 200 pounds now. That's Russell. Oh. Then the female, let's see, Russell's 19 and the female's 20. See if I can turn on more lights here. And then that's one of their 12-year-old, 11-year-old daughters. There's another one in the backyard somewhere that's the same size. The one male and the 3 females.
And they all get along good?
Yep. Pretty much the Russells mated with Macy, as you know, Karen. So they're a couple, and then the 2 females just run the yard.
Good deal.
And they all get along as long as we keep it just the one male.
Yep. That's the secret there.
Yeah. Then we have an aquarium in here that's just running water for humidity. Keeps the humidity up.
Good deal.
Wow. And so that my neighbor gives me his squash that gets overgrown. And so you can see that Sparky is kind of oblivious. She didn't notice the squash. And so Turbo's getting a head start. And I was really expecting them to fight over it, but that didn't happen. They can really get kind of hostile toward each other when they're fighting over food. And Sparky is really brutal. She's tried to flip Turbo, and a few years ago she succeeded a couple of times. And I think Turbo's grown enough that she's harder to flip, so that's a good thing. And also she got a little more fearful, so Turbo kind of runs away when Sparky gets too nasty. Here she's finally noticed there's some food there.
What else do you feed them?
They get a lot of cactus. I've grown a lot of cactus. So that cactus is the one thing that I try to give them regularly. They eat grass. I have hay for them if I run out of grass, if it gets too short. And then I have lots of hibiscus, and I give them flowers all the time from the hibiscus. And then when I trim anything, I give them the trimmings from the hibiscus and from my trees. And when we get a windstorm, then there are lots of leaves, and they wind up eating whatever leaves blow in. And when my peach tree was getting peaches, I gave them peaches. Boy, do they love peaches. And I try to remove the pits, but they pass through at this point because they're big enough. The tortoises are big enough.
That must mean the feces are quite large.
Yes. I've had people in the house behind me, they're far away, and they yelled over, "Wow, that's really impressive." It's like giant logs. If I gave them when I give them as much hay as they want to eat, it's pretty remarkable. but it's kind of, I don't know that they really need that much. Just makes them grow faster. So they've grown fast enough. We were talking before, it's really when it gets cold and they don't remember to go into their house to keep warm at night, I can't move them into their house. And I've tried to trick them. I've tried to give them, a trail of flowers to go in, and sometimes it just doesn't work, and I'm stuck, and I get worried they're gonna get sick or something. But I think they're big enough now that most of the time they're pretty okay.
All right, so this is one corner of the yard that we just we put the little retaining wall around, and that's where the bigger of my tortoises that I have now, they hang out there during the day. So I have a sulcata, a desert tortoise, a large female Russian, and a Herman's tortoise that stay out there. That's their daytime area that they get to run in. They're all fairly small still, so it's plenty of space for them at the moment right now. But we just had this corner of our yard. It used to actually be a slider area, and since the pond is dug into the ground, it was just starting to get really hard to clean. So we decided we'd fill the hole and put some dirt in there and put a little wall around it, and then that's where the girls get to go outside during the summer. In the winter they come in, but that's their little summer outdoor play area.
All right, I'll move over to the next photo.
Yeah, that just kind of shows inside there. That's the Russian and the sulcata that are hanging out. Yep.
Cool.
That's Marvel is the Russian, and Turkey is the sulcata. And so I'm always putting it out there that anybody that has stuff that they are trying to get rid of or don't need anymore, I get a vision for it and I tell Barb, and Barb kind of makes it happen. So one of my famous lines is, everybody needs a Barb, because you'll understand once you see what some of these things have turned into. So a friend of mine gave me this just corner TV cabinet, and we kind of separated it out and made it a little section for the Russians to kind of hang out. And I had to have some that were separated from others, and so this kind of works out perfectly to give them a little area to climb around in and sleep. And there's actually now lighting and stuff in there too that we added after this photo was taken. But and that actually even looks different from that now too, because we've added, I think, 2 or 3 more tubs there to the left side. But those are the slider ponds that we decided to move and kind of just make look a little nicer. They were just kind of dumped around the yard for a little while. But we moved them up closer to the house, put up some shade spots for them, and built a little retaining wall around that. And now they all actually have a filtration system running through them, and I think it came out pretty good compared to what they used to look like. So this is where all the sliders now live. And that was a little child sandbox that I looked at and said, hey, that would make a great little outdoor tortoise play area. So that is where I put the box turtles out during the day, kind of give them some sun, and they have a little water tub in there. So that's where the boxies hang out during the day. And that's the before picture of, it used to be a fish tank stand. So it laid long ways, and the fish tank was on top, and that was where you could put like the filters and whatever other storage you have. And I looked at it and said, wow, I could probably turn that into something. And so we decided we would make some alterations to that. And, keep going. Not sure what happened there. there we go. That's what it turned into. So I have leopard geckos in there. So it became my little leopard gecko tower. Put some lighting and heat tape in there, so they seem to be enjoying it a lot better. We wanted to just try to make everything kind of look a little nicer and not have so much glass everywhere. So that was kind of the goal, is anything I could find made out of wood, then we would turn it into some kind of enclosure and I'd get rid of all the glass in the house. And so that's a metal rack that I used to just have tanks that sat on top of it. And I said, there's a lot of wasted space here. I wonder what we could do. And that's what we did with it. Enclosed it with some wood, put some nice background on there, put some lighting in there, installed it in. And then those doors lock and open outward. And so now we have, there's actually a Savannah monitor, a tegu, and a bearded dragon in that cabinet. Oh, John, you recognize those?
I most
Those
definitely
are.
do.
We ran out to Riverside to pick those up. We found them free on Craigslist, and John saw it and said, "Wow, what could you do with that?" Well, we did a little bit with those. One of my, I think it was one of our best ones that we've done to date. We installed some shelves, put a divider in there. The right side has bearded dragons, and the left side has more leopard geckos. Installed lighting and cut out some vents and put up some cool little decorations in there. And then with the other one, we put some shelves in there, divider, have a big iguana on the right-hand side, and some more bearded dragons on the left-hand side. Also, it's a sliding glass on the right side, and then the doors open outward on the left side there as well.
This is Charlie, and he's a Western painted water turtle. I understand that breed is related to the red ear sliders, the slider breed, and I've had him for 6 years. That's not the greatest photo. There's a lot of reflection there, and wanted to redo it, but when he sees me, he generally gets off his log. This is one of the logs that floats. It's actually, I think it's for very small baby turtles. They can go in and out of it. But he likes to get on top and float around the tank. So it's just kind of fun to watch him. The reason I got him, I've never had a turtle before. I've had fish before, and cats and dogs, and grew up with lots of different animals, found a frog, and that became my pet, and all kinds of things, but never had owned it. Well, I take it back. One time my brother did find a tortoise, but didn't get along with a dog, so that didn't last long. But anyway, so as an adult, a rescue cat that we were taking care of actually had a turtle cornered in our front yard. And so when I went out and checked that out, I found I better maybe intervene before things got rough. Took it to a reptile store, and they told me that was a water turtle and how to take care of it. I got the little kiddie pool and put rocks in the center and conditioned the water and whatnot. And this cat loved that turtle, and they became bonded within just a couple of days. So the turtle was looking for the cat, and the cat was actually snuggling up to the side of the pool there, and they interacted with each other, and they just adored each other. I put signs up because we don't have lakes around here or anything. There's no reason to have turtles wandering in your front yard. And after about, I guess we had that turtle for, I think it was maybe about 10 days. It was ready to take down the signs and declare it my turtle. But then the person who owned that turtle, the runaway turtle, claimed it. And he's only about 5 houses from our house. And he has a pond in the front of his yard with a big wall around it and fence. He didn't know how it got out, but he had gotten it from his brother-in-law, who is a biologist whose job is to remove species that are not indigenous to particular areas. So somebody apparently somewhere along the line had dumped an eastern painted water turtle. I don't know if that's his first generation or whatever. So I gave it to my neighbor, and my neighbor had a pond with lots of a pond with koi and whatnot. He didn't know how she got out, but she had laid eggs, so had to give her back, which, you know, I was attached to her. The cat was very attached. They just adored each other. Something I never expected to see happen. So anyway, I decided that I needed to get an eastern painted water turtle and duplicate this whole thing because it was so endearing. So through my search, I could not find an eastern painted water turtle. The best I could do was to find this western painted water turtle, and he's a male. But he's turned out to be a wonderful pet. Didn't really think that he could have a personality, but he does. He's quite affectionate, extremely friendly, not shy, and he has bonded with a cat. It's not quite as intense, probably because I don't put him outside in the pool. He's got a tank. As you can see right there, he's in a tank indoors. And he spends most of his time there just out of convenience because I did try to get a heater and filter system for the kiddie pool, but we do have raccoons that come in the yard that I was concerned they would get him. We also have hawks. When he was smaller, I noticed a couple hawks on the house behind us, kind of catty corner up, eyeing him. And so I don't feel very comfortable leaving him outside at night or even during the day for very long. But he does get along with a cat. They do enjoy each other every now and then when I do let him go out. And I also put him outside sometimes when I'm cleaning his tank without water, because that just seems to be a big process to get that up and running and warm up the water, and it's going to grow algae out in the sun. So anyway, it's been a real joy, and I'm enjoying seeing the pictures of your tortoises and whatnot, because I don't know anybody that currently has a turtle. So this shows him just swimming around his tank and shows some of the color. It's a little bit faded in the picture here. And he's also going to shed his shell pretty soon. If you can see, it's coming loose. So the colors are really vibrant. And you can see he's at the front of the tank. You know, he sees me, he's interested. That's not time to eat. So he's just a friendly guy.
Okay, well, this is some of my dirty little secret that nobody gets to see. This is a 1,200-gallon containment pond, and it's actually a bin that they put on flatbed trucks, and they load them with drums and that possibly could leak, and so it's used as a containment in case they do leak. I had it full for years, had my water turtles in it, and for whatever reason, 2 summers ago, not this summer, last summer, it sprung a leak and we couldn't find out where it was. So completely drained it. Next one. And decided to go down and get what they call a pond skin now, rather than the liners, rubber liners that they have. And so I thought I'd give it a try. The water would stay up to about 6 inches deep, and never could find out if it was split. There wasn't any holes. Really don't know what's going on. So went ahead and put a pond liner in. Next one. So you can see it has a little reinforcement in that. And it's 32, 33 inches deep. It's 10 foot long by 6 foot wide. Next one. And that's the liner that I put in, and I started filling it. Now this, like I said, was for the water turtles at first, but it's now become my koi pond and goldfish pond. Next one. So it's just filling up. I put boards across the framework, 2x12s, and that's holding down the liner for me for now. Next. And since I had lost my turtle ponds, which were in the ground, I went to the feed store and bought this little monstrosity. It's a 8-foot diameter, but it's 2 feet deep, but it's only 600 gallons. But for now, it's going to have to work until I get done repairing the in-ground. So next. Hubby wasn't real happy, to say the least. So we got it as far as the side yard, and it had to stay there until I could get a space cleared and leveled. Next. This is the area that I had a big Rubbermaid pond. So we took it out and we got this leveled. My yard is a complete disaster. It hasn't been taken care of for a couple years, and before that it was going downhill. But in the back, the block wall you see is actually on the other side was the in-ground pools. They were the soaking ponds that we originally had for our Galapagos tortoises, and then they turned into our water turtle pond with nesting area and dirt and that around. But like I said, we had to sit and undo that. One reason is we got hit with raccoons, and as one gal was saying about keeping her turtle outside, it's really dangerous unless you really have them locked down. I use grid wall panels that display setups for in stores and that, and I'm going to be wrapping them in some small hardware wire. You'll also see one of the sulcatas we have. We have a male and female that I took in from a friend of my cousin's whose health had gotten really bad. And so far, so good. So they keep the weeds down. Although now I'm having to water all the time to grow the weeds because they're eating them. Next. So Tom just kind of leveled the dirt in here. We have really, really poor soil. It's rock hard, but we wanted to get it as level as we could. Next. And so that's what it looks like. Has a drain hole here. We didn't put on any other kind of spigot or anything. This isn't going to stay here. It'll be moved into the other pond area eventually, but for now, through the rest of the summer and winter, and hopefully next spring, I can get them in gear and we'll get it set up. Next. That was the starting of the fill on it. Next. Nothing real exciting, but it's an idea. Oh, okay. We're back at the koi pond. I've got plants in here. It has wire netting around the outside. Over the top of it has these grid wall panels and also lattice work. Next. And I've got a planter behind there. They're doing good with plants and that. They're happy to be in there. They've got a lot more room. Next. That's the filtration that comes out. I have a 55-gallon drum that has all filter medium in it, and it's 1,200 gallon per hour pump on it, which only turns it over one time an hour. But for now, with the small amount of fish and stuff I have, it's more than adequate. Next. Here's some of my little koi and goldfish. Okay, next. All right, so this is filling up of the pond. I have slate that I put on top, and these are your plastic shelving. This happened to be a corner unit that I had, and so it has 5 posts, and they have a lot of ridges in it, so the water comes through, and I bring the water right up to the top. And so that's their basking platform. Next. I encased it in wire for now. I have a canopy frame that goes over the top, and then the wire is attached to the framework so that nothing can go over the top. And then the top also has grid walls over it. Next. I put some of the reed fencing around it to give it a little bit of seclusion. Next. It doesn't look like much, but it's safe for them, and right now that's all I'm worried about. They have a place to get out, they have good filtration. Right now, the tank itself, the walls are very filled with algae. The water is going through a little bit of an algae bloom, so it's not split pea soup right now, but it does have a slight green tint to it. Next. There's little babies. I love sitting and watching them because they stack up on top of each other. Next. We're back at the koi pond again. I'm like Jenny. I use whatever I can find right now. And the white used to be a ferret cage, a condo cage. And so I just took the panels apart and put it on the front. And in there is one of the doors, so I can actually open it and put the food and stuff through. Next. There's the door, and it goes down to the shelf that surrounds it. So it's nice and secure. Next. Okay, here's where the door is open. It's kind of hard to see. I just clip it when I want to get in there. Next. Okay, that's a little peek hole. We have 2 big hillsides that our house is surrounded by, and there's a planter at the base of those hills. So the plants behind there go all the way around. Eventually, the whole planter area will be filled, but it's a large area. Next. So that's when I finally got the filtration stuff set up, and they were happy to be in there. Next. This is, it's Balin country that the poly tank comes from. They're real nice heavy duty tanks, not as heavy duty as the Rubbermaid, but Rubbermaid doesn't come as large as these. Next. And this is my filtration. Right now I'm just using, this was already set up, so I'm using this as my filtration for the pond. Next. And this was a few days later. As you can see, it's starting to, the stone and stuff is starting to get green. And these guys are always looking for food. Next. Here's some more. Next. I have this little guy. He seems to just like to sit right at the edge, and he enjoys the splashing of the water that'll come when comes out of the filter and hits the water. And I'm sure he's been out there all day with the heat that we've had. Next.
That's the end of it.
That's the end of it. So it's nothing fancy. It serves its purpose right now. I don't put plants in for the simple fact that they chew them, and I'm cleaning the filter every other day. It clogs up the pump. It's horrible. But we have tons and tons. I have a couple hundred plants that need to get planted, but I need a husband that sits and cleans up the planters and stuff around the yard. I'd thrown out a bunch of different seed, and I ended up with some kind of a grass come in that got to like 3 and 4 feet tall. And the tortoises love it, the sulcatas, but I didn't have them at the time, so we had weed-eated all that down, and now they're keeping it pretty well trimmed, but it's some real sturdy stuff. And my oak tree that's kind of behind there, I had to block all this area off so that the sulcatas couldn't get in. They got in there twice on me, and they just took down all the benches and the tables and everything else that had plants on it. So lesson learned. Got to keep the bulldozers under lock and key pretty much. But it's something simple, functions good, and the main thing is it keeps them nice and safe. So that is it.
I have something to show all of you. With the tortoise show being canceled, it kind of backfired on us, but our female cicada lays 2 to 5 clutches a year.
Oh, wow.
We were incubating the eggs at one time, helping the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts in terms of learning the process and everything. But we have been freezing the eggs, and we haven't been incubating because there's just so many cicadas out there, as you know. But we took the first clutch that came this season, and we timed it out and figured that they would be hatching right at the turtle show or about right now. So we have tortoises that are hatching, but we have no show.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm not here in the garage. Here's one that was 2 of them that were born. Hold on, I got to turn the camera around. Here's 2 that were born yesterday.
Oh, wow.
But what I know you guys would all want to see is there's a poster in our garage. Desert Turf. But anyway, here is live shot.
Oh.
We have one hatching now, and we have one that has started here in the middle of the screen.
Yes. Isn't the one at the top there on the left, top left, starting
Right.
a pip?
No, that's just a dirt mark on it.
Dirt mark? Okay.
Usually about half our eggs are not fertilized for some reason. And Dr. Greek doesn't know why, but usually only about half our eggs will hatch.
Yeah.
And so through let's see, today is the 105th day of the incubation. And I've thrown out eggs that have either not developed or you could tell they were bad. But this is live right now. And this one's been working on it this afternoon. But the intention was with the tortoise show to show from the large male we have down to the babies to educate people on the size that these guys get. And unfortunately it backfired because we have no show, but they would have been at the show this year.
And they would have been a big hit.
Yeah, it would have been a big hit, especially if she was just off. Like, when was the show supposed to be? It was supposed to be next week, right?
28th.
Yeah, so we were about 2 weeks here ahead of the show. It would have been fun if they were hatching during the show, but
right.
There's always next year.
Yep.
So, but we used to incubate every clutch. Now it's just we're not doing that anymore. So anyway, I just wanted to share with you all that it backfired on us this year, but maybe next year timing will be right.
Well, that's awesome. I really appreciate it, Dave. That's
It
neat.
would have been fun.
Yes. Oh, yes, definitely.
So when we heard the show was canceled, it's just like, oh no.
Yeah.
The incubator kept cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're not the only one. There was lots of disappointments,
Yeah.
but we'll have another one. Like I said, we haven't given up. So
Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with everybody at the end because it's fun watching them hatch. And
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
we actually have friends that are interested in. We have different friends that are interested in what's hatching, so homing them is not going to be an issue. But
okay.
the idea was with show, and unfortunately, no
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
Well, thank
I'll
you so
remember
much.
this though.
Yeah, it's really fun to see them.
It is. All the neighborhood kids have been in the garage this afternoon, just watching them and cheering them on, and
Oh,
Wow.
a lot of fun. But at least we have 4. Yeah, so far we're at 4 that have 2 have hatched, and then we got the 2 that are working on it right now. So
yeah.
these two are in a tank with just the wet paper towels, so the yolk sac doesn't dry out. And then once the yolk sac is absorbed, we'll put them in the aquarium in the house. Not aquarium, in the glass tank with dirt soil, topsoil.
Right.
So cute. They're so round.
Yeah, they're just amazing how these develop in the egg and hatch, and just God's wonder.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can look here. I don't know. My daughter said the yolk sacs look pretty good. This one's still got a pretty good yolk sac,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it does.
and so we'll keep that on the paper towel. This one's closing up nicely.
Right.
So
It's so cute how they have all their little fingernails. Yeah, it's just really cute.
They're perfect. Absolutely perfect.
they're beautiful, and it would have been a fun show with them this year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we're not giving up.
No, don't give up.
Nope.
We really like that show.
You can actually see the other one moving in the shell. There's a little bit of movement there.
Wow.
Yeah, his leg's sticking out right there.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
There it is.
Yep, there's the leg coming out.
It won't be long now.
No, tomorrow morning he'll be around.
Okay. Oh, so cute. There you go.
Darling.
It looks like this one that's stepping out is possibly a miscue.
Okay. Yes. Yes. The bottom one.
Yeah, one right here in the middle. Looks like the bottom scutes. I can't fully tell. He hasn't come out. Don't do that,
Yeah,
Mikhail.
I know. There's just that small one right there.
Yeah.
All the others look normal.
So just wait for him to step out. But it looks like he's a small miscute.
Yes. Love this.
Yeah. That's okay. There's people like me that love them.
Yeah, my daughter loves them. She's right here, all excited. So
That.
they're special. Yeah, this one's moving some more.
Yep.
So, well, everybody have a great night. Great meeting, John.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you
Thank
guys.
you.
Yeah, keep an eye out for the next email. We'll let you know when we're doing it again.
All right.
All right.
Perfect.
Take
Stay
care,
cool.
everybody. Stay
Me
well.
too. Thank you. So much fun. It's wonderful to do this.
Thank you all.